Welcome to my channel. In this lecture, we'll be looking at the Extensor Pollicis Brevis. Let's try and use this image by the side to illustrate where this muscle is located. This is where we have this muscle here, harrowed at this point. This muscle is extensor because it is one of the muscles located in the posterior or the extensor compartment of the forearm, which of course exerts extension. And it is pollicis because it is inserted on the thumb, and it is brevis because it is a short muscle. Right on with me in this lecture, we'll be describing the details behind this muscle. The extensor pollicis brevis we already highlighted in our previous slide. It is one of the muscles located in the posterior compartment of the forearm. If you go back to our previous lecture on the muscles of the posterior compartment of the forearm, we highlighted in that lecture that we have a total of 12 muscles in this region. While we have 7 of these muscles superficially placed, we have 5 of them deeply embedded. We try to use this image by the side. This is why we have the extensor pollicis brevis. And if you try to use this image at this lower end, and this image shows the muscles that are located in the deep layer of the posterior compartment of the forearm. We say we have a total of 5 muscles. At this upper edge here, we have the supinator. The supinator is not seen to run down along with the other muscles that are located in this layer. The remaining 4 muscles are seen to cross down the wrist. And at the most lateral edge here, we have the abductor pollicis longus. And following this muscle on the medial side, we have the extensor pollicis brevis. And this is what is harrowed here at this point. If you go more medially to the extensor pollicis brevis, we then have the extensor pollicis longus. And this is what is harrowed here in yellow. And the last muscle located within this deep layer is the extensor indicis. And this is what is also harrowed here in dotted green. So you see that we have a total of 5 muscles located within this space. 3 out of these muscles are inserted on the thumb, and this is what is carved out here at this point. These 3 muscles, you can see that pollicis is inserted in their names, and this is where they are seen to exert different movement actions on the thumb. Specifically, the extensor pollicis brevis is seen to exert the extension of the thumb, and it is seen to exert it at a specific region, which we would be highlighting as we go through with this lecture. It is also important that we had that the extensor pollicis brevis is seen to have a longus version. The longus version of this muscle is tagged the extensor pollicis longus, which of course is closely related to the extensor pollicis brevis. Let's use this slide to describe the specific point of origin and also the insertion of the extensor pollicis brevis. This muscle is seen to specifically originate from the distal third of the posterior surface of the radius and also the adjacent interosseous membrane. If you try to use this image on this side, this is where we have the point of origin here on the distal third of the radius. Don't forget that the radius is positioned on the lateral side, where the ulna is positioned medially. It is also seen to originate from the adjacent interosseous membrane, and this is what is also harrowed in blue. So you see that this muscle, after originating from the different sides, it is seen to be directed inferiorly, and along this path, it is seen to be running deep to the abductor pollicis longus. If we try to use this image on this other side, this is where we have the extensor pollicis brevis, and the muscle where this arrow is pointing on is the abductor pollicis longus. We already highlighted this muscle in our previous slide. So you see that the extensor pollicis brevis is driven deep as they go towards the wrist. And this is where they are able to then access specifically the first compartment that is created by the extensor retinaculum. Let's try and use this arrangement to further illustrate this. This structure that is highlighted here in black is the extensor retinaculum, and we know that between the extensor retinaculum and the underlying bones, which of course include the ulna and the radius, there is a creation of compartments. We have a total of 6 compartments created around this region, and this is what is numbered from the lateral side here down to the medial side. So specifically, you see that the tendon of the extensor pollicis brevis and also accompanied by the tendon of the abductor pollicis longus are seen to pass through the first compartment. And this is what is highlighted or harrowed here in blue. So after passing through this space, they are then seen to be able to access the hand region. And this is where the tendon of the extensor pollicis brevis is specifically seen to be inserted on the dorsal surface of the base of the proximal phalanx of the thumb. And this is what is harrowed there in this upper image. Let's try to also relate the point of origin and insertion of the Extensor Pollicis Brevis with that of the Extensor Pollicis Longus. We'll be making a separate video on the Extensor Pollicis Longus, but we already also highlighted this muscle in our previous lecture on the muscles that are located in the posterior region of the forearm. Let's try and use this alignment created. Let's say this is where we have the Extensor Pollicis Brevis. We already highlighted that this muscle is seen to originate from the distal third of the posterior surface of the radius, and it is finally inserted on the base of the proximal phalanx. On the medial side of the Extensor Pollicis Brevis is where we have the Extensor Pollicis Longus, and this is what is highlighted here in green. The Extensor Pollicis Longus is seen to originate from the middle third of the posterior surface of the ulna. Don't forget that the ulna is placed along the medial side where the radius is placed laterally. And at this point, you see how the Extensor Pollicis Brevis and the Longus version are separated. While one originates from the distal third of the radius, the other is originating from the middle third of the ulna. And what this means is that the Extensor Pollicis Longus will be originating at a more superior region or level around the posterior compartment of the forearm. Then if you go more inferiorly, don't forget that the Extensor Pollicis Brevis is finally seen to insert on the base of the proximal phalanx. The Extensor Pollicis Longus that is highlighted here in gray is finally seen to be inserted on the base of the distal phalanx. And because the distal phalanx, of course, will be positioned more distally than the proximal phalanx, this means that the Extensor Pollicis Longus will be inserted at a more inferior region. And this is where we say that the Extensor Pollicis Longus is indeed a long muscle, because the point where it originates from is higher from the point where the Extensor Pollicis Brevis originates from. And where it finally, of course, also inserts upon is also more inferiorly placed than where the Extensor Pollicis Brevis also finally inserts upon. And considering the fact that the brevis originates from the radius, the longus is seen to originate from the ulna. And this is why you have this separation at this upper end. And because they are inserted on the thumb, but specifically at different level, they are seen to be closing up at this lower end. And this alignment is what creates the anatomical snub box, which is a triangular impression that is created around this region. And this is what is highlighted here in yellow. We'll be dwelling more on the anatomical snub box as we go through with this lecture. It is important that we understand the basis behind this creation. Let's look at the events that occur at the point of insertion of the tendon of the Extensor Pollicis Brevis. We already highlighted that the tendon of this muscle inserts on the dorsal surface of the base of the proximal phalanx of the thumb. Let's try and use this bony alignment to further illustrate this. This is where we have the carpals carved out here at this point, and we know that distal to the carpals we have the metacarpals, and this is what is carved out here in green. Just distal to the metacarpals is where we then have the phalanges. It is important that we state here that the thumb is seen to have two phalanges. It is seen to have the proximal phalanx and also the distal phalanx, while the other digits are seen to have three phalanges: the proximal, the middle, and the distal phalanges. So you see that we have the tendon of the Extensor Pollicis Brevis finally inserted at this point where this arrow is pointing, which is the dorsal or the posterior surface of the base of the proximal phalanx. And this is what is highlighted at this point. And what this means that this joint will be exerting its effect primarily on the metacarpophalangeal joints. Don't forget that the metacarpophalangeal joint is created between the metacarpal and also the proximal phalanx of the thumb. It is important that we also highlight at this point that the tendon of the abductor pollicis longus is seen to be inserted on the lateral surface of the base of the first metacarpal. And this is what is highlighted here at this point. If you look at where this arrow is pointing, you see that the tendon of the abductor pollicis longus is seen to be inserted on the lateral side or surface of the base of the first metacarpal. And this specific insertion point is very important in determining the action that they exhibit. Because it is inserted on this lateral edge, it is seen to be able to exert abduction, which is of course taking the thumb away from the body. So if the tendon of this muscle contracts, it will be taking the thumb of course, away from the body. And this is why they're able to exert this action, just because of their specific point of insertion on the lateral side of the base of the first metacarpal. What if you go back to the point of insertion of the extensor pollicis brevis? We say that specifically it is inserted on the dorsal surface and not on the lateral surface, which means that when it contracts, it will be able to exert the effect of extension. Let's look at the relations of this muscle, the extensor pollicis brevis, also with the other muscles that are located in the deep compartment. We say that we have the supinator. The supinator, even though it is positioned within the deep layer of the posterior compartment of the forearm, it is seen around the upper region. Then if you go more to the inferior side, just at the lateral head, you have the abductor pollicis longus. This abductor pollicis longus is seen to be positioned around the lateral side of the extensor pollicis brevis. And this is what is harrowed there at this point. Well, if you go on the medial side of this muscle, we have the extensor pollicis longus. So we can say that the extensor pollicis brevis is sandwiched between the laterally placed abductor pollicis longus and also the medially placed extensor pollicis longus. And this is what is carved out here in this image. You have the extensor indicis. We can say that the extensor indicis is the most medially placed muscle within the deep layer of the posterior compartment of the forearm. It is also important that we revisit the creation of the anatomical snub box. This is where we have the anatomical snub box that can also be referred to as radial fossa. And this is what is highlighted here in red. So on this lateral side, we have the tendon of the extensor pollicis brevis. And this is what creates the lateral border for this fossa. This lateral border is further reinforced by the tendon of the abductor pollicis longus. And this is what is also seen around the lateral side. If you come to the medial side, we have the tendon of the extensor pollicis longus. And this is what is harrowed there in brown. And we already described during the course of this lecture how this triangular alignment is created. This anatomical snub box creates accommodation site for the radial artery. And this is a clinical site for radial pulse. Let's look at the actions of this muscle. We should know by now that the extensor pollicis brevis exerts extension of the thumb, but this extension is primarily seen to be exerted at the metacarpophalangeal joint. So we see that the final insertion point of the extensor pollicis brevis is on the dorsal surface of the proximal phalanx of the thumb. And this is what is seen here at this point. So that means that it will be exerting the extension of the thumb at this specific joint, which of course is created between the metacarpal and the proximal phalanx. The secondary action include the extension of the wrist and also the extension of the carpometacarpal joints. So going back to this image, this is where we have the wrist joint, and it is also seen to exert extension of the carpometacarpal joint, which of course exists between the carpal and also the metacarpal. And this is basically because the tendon of this muscle crosses over this joint. Now let's look at the innervation and also the blood supply of the extensor pollicis brevis. This muscle is seen to be innervated by the posterior interosseous nerve. The posterior interosseous nerve is an emergence from the deep branch of the radial nerve. Let's try and create this alignment of the radial nerve where it has a superficial and a deep branch. The posterior interosseous nerve is seen to emerge from the deep branch of this nerve, and this is where it is directed to innervate this muscle. This muscle is seen to be supplied by both anterior and the posterior interosseous arteries. These arteries are emergence from the common interosseous, which of course is an emergence from the ulnar artery. And we know that the ulnar artery is one of the terminal branches from the brachial artery. Let's look at clinical anatomy. And here we'll be looking at the Deguaven syndrome that can also be referred to as the Deguaven tenosynovitis. This results from an overstretch of the tendons that are located in the first compartment. We try to use this image by this other side. We already used this arrangement to describe the first compartment where the tendon of the extensor pollicis brevis pass through. We say that the tendon of this muscle is not only seen to pass through this compartment alone, it is seen to be accompanied by the tendon of the abductor pollicis longus. So when there is overuse or injury, this tendon could be overly stretched. This is usually presented with pain that occur around the radial side of the wrist. So thanks for watching this video.